Good day, everybody, whatever time zone you are in. It's Today is the 16th of June, and the year is 2024. I haven't been uploading videos in more than 8 months. Somehow lost interest. But if something is really impacts me, uh, and if I feel like I want to say something, that's when I try to upload a video for in order to get it out of my chest. So that since that is happening on the world stage right now, you would see the news. News is news. 90% of the news is propaganda, and especially U.S. news is, I guess, 99% is so full of it and diabolic nonsense and lies. So that's a vehement criticism. But all that aside, you know what's happening with the U.S. Soviet. I'm sorry, not Soviet. U.S. Russian proxy war that's taking place in Ukraine. Uh, U.S. government, Joe Biden government, is pumping in billions, hundreds of billions to Ukraine, and supplying all the weapons, the sophisticated weapons, long range missiles and whatnot, while neglecting their own border in the south. Why is this happening? Simple. Everybody knows. It is estimated more than 16 million. That is conservatively speaking. Uh, Immigrants from Latin America have entered because the borders are open. Not only that, when they come, they get all kinds of incentives. To start off with, they get uh, a credit card. I don't know what the limit is. Not sure if it is if it goes into $10,000 or something. I vaguely heard. Remember listening to this on some alternate media channel. I try to stay away from the mainstream media. A lot of people coming on YouTube, and uh, they it's fairly reliable what they're saying, because they weed out the nonsense and present it to you. So why is it the US is letting all these immigrants, good large portion of them are said to be released from mental asylum, and with criminal from penitentiaries and jails with uh, with criminal backgrounds, hardcore criminals? What happens when they come into US? You know what happens. But why is the government, the current government, US, Joe Biden, the liberal government? I have no skin in the game. I'm neither liberal nor Republican. I'm not even part of, in the sense, I don't even live in US. And but as an independent spectator from an outside, taking a look at the world, I mean, when I driven by my sense of right and wrong, you know, I tend to speak, and sometimes when it's really bothers my mind, I try to get it out on YouTube. So why are they letting these people come in? Of course, it's a vote bank. When they come in, they know which government let them in. All these criminals will vote for Joe Biden. When I say criminals, they're uh, it's. I don't want to, uh, outrightly say every one of them are criminals, and but there are people who are searching greener pastures, and their own government. See, Latin America is it's. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say Latin America is highly corrupted. So Why highly corrupted? Because the elected leaders rob the people's resources, and they amass their wealth, and after 5 or 4 or 5 or 8 or 10 years, either a term or two after and they resign comfortably, enough money for 7 generations of their family or even more. So this is corruption is rife, happens in US, and the people, when resources are resources that belong to people, when it's robbed by leaders, what happens? The people are suffering, and then the population is high and the demand is low. uh, it's tough, and let loose everybody to US, and US welcomes it, the current government, and that's what happens. And so why? It's a vote bank. Ask no ID. Even when you go to the bank, you need 2 pieces of ID. If you're not a regular customer, even if you're a regular customer, the bank asks for the ID. If the teller doesn't recognize you, even otherwise, you have to show an ID. So if bank can hold that policy, if they can maintain that policy, and to exercise your constitutional right, don't you need to show your ID to show that you're a citizen? Don't you think, oh, it's only the citizens who have the constitutional responsibility or the right to vote and decide their government? Not visitors, not people who come here for short time, or people on student visa, or simply refugees, right? Unless otherwise they are given citizenship. But it's happening. Nobody can question it. All right. That leave that aside. But in the news, you see, what do you see? There is the Ukraine war. The current liberal government, Joe Biden government, is pumping hundreds of billions to Ukrainian leader, who is won't be an exaggeration to say is just I don't want to besmirch or use aspersions, but he came from a teleserial background, and people voted him in because he came as a. If you go on YouTube and look for his teleserial in Ukraine, he's coming as a school teacher. It's a comedy, so that's why I was trying to say he's a clown, because he was the main star on a comedy show that became very popular. There's a reason for it, and in that comedy serial, he becomes he plays the role of a school teacher who is dreaming of changing the government, and then finally runs for election. He wins the election in a nutshell. But how did this teleserial become so famous? Because when Russia when Putin invaded Crimea. I mean, of course, there is a history. Crimea always belonged to Russia before 1955, and then it was annexed to Ukraine, and all that is there. We don't want to dwell too much into it, but suffice to say, it was before 1955. It was under Russia, and the large number of majority of the Crimeans are said to be Russians. I mean, it's that society, Russian-Ukrainian society, is very intermingled. A lot of Ukrainians live in Russia. A lot of Russians live in Ukraine, and families are living in either Russia or in Ukraine. So when I talk to the Ukrainian friends and in here, meaning in Canada, and I see they are saying as the Ukrainian who is living in Ukraine has a different view from his families living in Russia. The Russians are supporting what Putin is doing. These are Russian Ukrainians who are living there, and the Ukrainians meaning Ukrainians who are living in Ukraine are opposing because it's too opposing. See, on one side of the fence you have a different view. For you get to the other side, you have a different view. So pretty much, that's a good analogy, I suppose. And So this is what happened. So why is Russia so interested in Ukraine? And of course, it was part of Soviet Union. It used to be 15 country with Russia. Used to be, I guess, 200 and over 200 and I think it's 200 and subject to correction. I had to check it. I think it was total population of the Soviet Union was around 270 million. It's a big country, vast landmass, but in the world, biggest landmass. But the population was the entire Soviet Union was not even as much as U.S. population. Now the countries have disintegrated after the U.S. intervention when Gorbachev was there in 1991 and became 15 countries. Russia, all the 14 countries that were under Russia, they're all independent now. So sovereign states. That said, so what is U.S. interest? What is U.S. interest is not many people, even people who perceptively follow the information and read through the, I guess, sometimes the truth is like finding a needle in a hay. Yes, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. But there are, if you anybody can look for information, and if you carefully weed out all the unwanted propaganda BS, you will see the truth. But people don't do it. People are so, I guess, intellectually challenged. That said, so what's happening? What's the U.S. interest in Ukraine? Simple. Ukraine has the vast resources of minerals. So what are the minerals? So Ukraine accounts for 5% of world's mineral resources. Now that's information. Over 20,000 deposits of 194 known minerals can be found in Ukraine. Of these deposits discovered, 7,800 deposits of over 90 hold important industrial minerals. Interesting, isn't it? Bottom line, all wars are about money. Greed for money, see, money rules the world. The power that has more money rules the world. So be it US or Russia, the superpower has that the superpower with more money controls the world. Without money, you can't even lift your finger. Behind every action, there's money. Leaders come and speak out as though they are the saviors of humanity, but mind you, they are the real scoundrels. Who they don't work for the people voting population. They vote. They work for the lobbyists. It's interesting in U.S. Incidentally, bribing is illegal, but lobbying is not illegal. What's the difference? Lobbying is big money. It's given to the political parties. That's not illegal. Any Any big corporation, any mega corporation can give tens, if not hundreds of millions to any party. So when when the leader gets the party leader gets elected, who does he who does he you think uh, who is he going to work for? Is he going to work for the voting population that put him installed him in power, or the people who uh, donated, let's say donated, it's a euphemism, donated hundreds of millions, the rich moguls. Uh, so you decide, and that's how it goes. This is not very unique to US. It's all over. Maybe it's slightly different in Russia and China. Of course, it's Chinese communism. It's a communist. It's more. It operates like a mafia. That's the best description. The more loyal you are to the party, Communist Party, you gradually climb up the ladder in the Communist Party. So that's so. All that aside, let's take a look. So what does the U.S. want in Ukraine? U.S. want to plunder all the uh, the mineral resources, right? It's a wealth that's untapped. But what's the problem? Why U.S. Wants to pick a bone with Russia? Because Russia is standing in the way. So you decide, you know, I mean, this is in a nutshell what the conflict is. Ukraine was under Russia, even the Soviet era, 15 countries, 14 countries under Russia, together 15 countries. Ukraine used to be the Russian stronghold because all the Chernobyl in 1986, the nuclear accident or explosion, that was in Chernobyl and in Ukraine. So all the nuclear arsenal, Soviet arsenal, was in Ukraine. So Ukraine was the most important state under Russia among the 14 states. So America is nowhere. It's the other side of the world, and now gets involved, becomes the bosom buddy to Ukraine. You decide what is right and wrong here. Why does so if Russia and Ukraine, we have this clown who becoming the leader of Ukraine. I'm talking about the comedy star. He's just he filled up his personal coffers. There's all kinds of stories about how Cyprus banks, it's a tax haven, how hundreds of millions has gone in, and these guys, all these people had been very corrupt prior to Putin. I'm not saying Putin is all pure, but Putin cares for the country as much as he got rich. He cares for the country. That's clear. He wants the country to do well. It's clear. He's patriotic to his country. That's clear. But how he got rich? Well, without getting rich, you cannot stay in power because money is power. When you have money, you can control. If you think you can be a relegate and a world-renowned, benevolent soul, that you can rule the country, no way. You will be overthrown in no time. So I'm not trying to defend anybody or condemn anybody. Just trying to say the way it feels to my mind right. If I say anything offensive, please forgive me. Nothing intentional. That said, so that's Ukraine. All right. So what's happening now? U.S. Proxy war. U.S. Russia, they had proxy wars throughout different parts of the world, because they don't like to get involved directly, but they'll find two donkeys and pump their weapons, and those two countries will clash and they'll kill each other. So this has been going on, but Russia couldn't keep up because they don't have the money to back up. They stayed in Afghanistan for 10 years. They did improvements, as said, like I know Afghanis who speak Russian, and I was surprised and asked them why they speak to each other in Russian while they have actually Persians. They lived in the Afghani border, and they tell me that they went to school at that time. Russian was the official language, and Persian was the second language, and so they learned Russian, just like I speak English, right? And I have my own native language, but you see, English has been a very dominant language from school time, and so being hailing from a colonial country, learned English, and I mean, it's you have the edge when you have the English. I mean, today, living in an English-speaking country for 40 years, I mean, definitely when I came here, I had a definite edge over the others who are coming from non-speaking English countries, or people who didn't learn English well. So that's English. Pretty much, British ruled 85 countries. Colonial era, so they spread their language. It's become somewhat a universal language. Today we have 195 countries. Imagine 85 countries at one point were under the British. Okay, that era is gone. Now it's the American era. Now I don't know if America is seeing the glimpsing the twilight zone, or glimpsing its American imperialism, because of the way it is going. Uh, you know, the current government, Joe Biden government, how they described him as a elderly, as by way of defense, elderly, forgetful, elderly man, because in order to come out of the litigation process, he had the classified information in his garage and everything. So his defenders came and said, he's an elderly, forgetful man. Yeah, sure. Elderly, forgetful man should not have the nuclear code. Simple as that. So anyway, this is that said. So Russia, Ukraine is in the sea. It's the Caribbean Sea. Ukraine, this clown, before 1955, Crimea was under Ukraine, under Russia, so it was annexed, became part of Ukraine. And in Crimea, there was an international airport that was one of the international airports, a big airport that belonged and owned, same thing, redundant, that belonged to I remember reading it, the second richest in Ukraine, the second richest person in Ukraine is hailing from a Jewish background originally. I think his lineage is from Israel or whatever, but he's said to be the second richest. When Putin annexed Crimea, the airport that belonged to this rich business magnate went to Russia. So he had this grudge. He owned all the TV stations in Ukraine. He televised this clown playing the school teacher who is becoming the president of Ukraine. And then the next thing, it became, I think, how many years the serial was telecasted, I'm not sure. But when that was all, I'm inclined to think all pre-planned. So comes election, he runs for the election, he becomes the president. Who do you think he's going to be loyal to? Does he care for Ukraine? No. He's filling his coffers. there was they went to Paris. He went to Paris, and I don't want to. His wife was bought precious stones, running into unbelievable amount of money and all that, and don't want to get into. No, I mean these are incidents, real, and I'm not making this up. It's not fake news or anything, but these kind of things are always suppressed in news channel. They just say it once or whatever, boom, it goes underground. All right, and that said, see, that was the that grudge was there. So he became the president. He is running the show. There are rumors that he has become an alcoholic. Kind of looks that way, because I don't know. I don't want to say it. Because if you see the teleserials at the time, he had a clear face. Today he looks like morbid, and like he's drunk all the time. I don't know. I could be, without evidence, I should not say anything. So what happens? Russia now, he wants Ukraine to join the NATO, but Ukraine they are stalling near the NATO European countries. After the World War, it started with 12 countries. Now I think they're at 32 countries, 30 if not 32. Check it out. So Ukraine wanted to, I think two countries were on the waiting list to join. It could be 32, I'm not sure. Anyway, thereabouts, check it out. And that said, now, Ukraine, like a little child, I want to join the NATO, I want to join the NATO. Why? Because then this clown can run his show. And Ukrainians have this idea America is a dreamland, because they are coming from they're coming out of that harsh Soviet era where things were tough. But America is a dream world. For them to come to America, it's a big dream. For the most countries in the third world, they think America is a dream place. Yes and no. We'll stop at that without going into details. But so, what's the news? Highlighting the news. See, in 1962, is it 1962? Yes, 1962. 1962, October 16th, the Cuban Missile Crisis. John F. Kennedy got involved, and so at that time Soviet Union, they sent the U2 it's called U2 Soviet medium range ballistic missiles, nuclear weapons with the range of 1,200 miles to Cuba. So Kennedy got involved, and the problem was solved. But propaganda news always glorifies U.S., and we as children from a colonial country, wow, U.S., because our history teacher said, you know what, I remember I must have been like 10 or 11, maybe even less, I guess, about maybe, no, it's about 12 years, I guess. No, I was, anyway, that's, so what happened there? Our history teacher said, U.S., the president, they dramatize these things, kept his finger on the nuclear codes and said the Soviet ships were just on the mid-ocean. Right now, you're backing off, right? And Soviets meekly backed off and left. That was not true. That's the, what. And what happened there was when there was an agreement between U.S. President and Russia Soviet President Khrushchev. Why in that agreement, U.S. President persuaded Khrushchev to withdraw from installing their missiles in Cuba. In return, U.S. agreed to remove their armaments installation, defensive armament installation. Where? In Turkey. They had their own missiles missile installations in Turkey. So both countries mutually agreed, and that was what happened. Not like holding the button, hey, get the hell out of here, and they meekly left. No, that's not true. That's inaccurate, right? And so the same thing is happening. US, now there is no more Soviet Union. Russia is sending their hypersonic missile 3M22 Zircon SSN-33 scramjet powered nuclear hypersonic cruise missiles to Cuba. And they're coming in frigates and submarines, and there are vessels, warships already in the region, and it takes only 12 minutes for them to hit the White House. Serious threat. So it's all over the news, but people don't seem to be too concerned. They're listening to this bogus fake news, the liberal nonsense, and all this, woke and the madness, and that's what people are obsessed with, right? So what's going to happen? Why is Russia doing this? Because US is trying to go above and beyond, trying to get involved in Ukraine proxy war. They tolerated to a point, and they're stalling on granting the NATO status to Ukraine. But if they grant, all the US 7th Fleet, whatever fleet, all the vessels will be in Caribbean. No, I'm sorry, not Caribbean, the Black Sea. Sorry, pardon me, slip of tongue. In the Black Sea is a Russian backdoor. Would any country like the adversarial forces having their military arsenal in their backdoor? Now you figure. I'll conclude right here, and it's 32 minutes. Please bear with me. I don't know how to put it concisely. Thank you for listening.